Hi, my name is Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man, and today I'm going to be talking to you about one crystal. One crystal? Yeah, one crystal. I've been talking about this crystal in other videos. You want to know the strongest crystal in the entire world for returning negative energy to people? It's Mexican fire agate, and I'm going to teach you guys how to use it because most of you are not going to know how to use it. What do I mean by that? So, this crystal is very rare. It's very, very, very rare. So when you get it, you're probably going to get a little tiny piece and you'll be like, what's this little tiny piece going to do to defend me? Well, here's the thing about Mexican fire agate. Some crystals, well, most crystals are defined by their size, and the strength of what they do is based on their size. That's most crystals. There are some exceptions, because size does matter with crystals. There are some circumstances where a crystal size does not matter because you're not going to be using its effects for its size. Crystals like this are Mexican fire agate. Crystals like lepidolite. You can have really, really, really tiny, like just, for example, Lemurian seed, for example. There's other crystals out there. I'm not going to name them all from the top of my head because I'll have to think, because there's some, it's a very sparse few. But Mexican fire agate has a very specific way you can use it, and I'm going to teach you right now. Now, what does Mexican fire agate do? I've been talking about this in other videos. It's the most vicious return to sender anything on this planet. There's nothing stronger as a return to sender than Mexican fire agate. It has like deity energy to it. It has just fire and brimstone. And anyone who I've really helped with Mexican fire agate, their enemies. I mean, if you would like to know the spiritual equivalent of what happens to someone who messes with someone who uses Mexican fire agate, and keep in mind, I know dark people are probably going to watch my YouTube videos eventually trying to extract knowledge out of crystals about how they can use whatever for bad. You can't use crystals for bad, and a good surprise for the people who are doing bad is that if you try to do bad with crystals, the crystals are going to end up working against you because they are literally pure light. They come from the heavens. They're not even from this planet, essentially. They're literally, if you look in the Bible, they're all from heaven. They originate, just their blueprint was there before it was here. Now, crystals are pure magic and they only work for light. People who try to do bad with Mexican fire agate, I encourage you, because you're going to get chewed up and spit out by your own energy. So if you want to try to fool yourself by trying to use Mexican fire agate to try to do some kind of return to sender to someone else, and you don't think you're bad but you're still doing something bad, you're not going to know what hit you, and it's never going to go away. That's the kind of energy Mexican fire agate has. So let's just say someone's doing black magic with you, right? You use Mexican fire agate, which I'll teach you how to use soon. That person, the effects of what happens to that person never goes away until they become better people. Like, they have to 100% make a 180 in their life and fully just like hit a wall and become like reset. That person must start their life over and become a good person and devote themselves to God and doing good in order for the effects of the Mexican fire agate to stop. That says a lot. I mean, no other crystal, no other root, no other herb. Black tourmaline's good. The equivalent of Mexican fire agate and black tourmaline, I tell people when people get a black tourmaline necklace from me, anoint it with agrimony oil. Agrimony has return to sender energies as well. It's very vicious, but nothing compares to how vicious Mexican fire agate is. And I'll teach you guys how to use agrimony with Mexican fire agate. Well, you know, I laugh because people should not be sending you negative energy to begin with. You're doing your thing in life. You're just trying to better yourself, work on yourself, uplift yourself, and you have people hating on you and coming after you because you're working on yourself. You pull the Mexican fire agate card, that person's eliminated. Like, if they don't know, it's gonna, and it constantly gets worse over time too. The equivalent of Mexican fire agate is if you take a large vat of oil and you dump it over someone and you set them on fire. That's how it equals out to spiritually. It might sound harsh, but it teaches people who are horrible people to be good people. This is a giant favor. So when you use this crystal, some people are like, I transmute their energy light. I transmute their energy love and light. And I'm like, yeah, you might have just deflected whatever they did, but they took someone who was vulnerable. So, and I've seen this. I remember way back then when I was, and ignore my little dance there. Because I know some people legitimately, they think that's how it works. That's not how it works. Basically, when someone sends you negative energy and you just kind of bat it, and bat it, they're going to keep doing it because it's not hitting them back. Or maybe it's hitting them back, but not hard enough. Because sometimes if they have angels who care, their own angels will help send their own negative energy back on top of your angels sending the negative energy back. Because they care about you and they want them to learn their lesson. But here's the thing. When you just transmute it to light, which, yeah, you're essentially, when you're sending it back, you're transmuting it to light. You're transmuting the person light because you're changing them as a person so they don't ever do bad again. And they actually recognize their ways. They recognize what's happening, what's going wrong, what they have to stop doing for things to get better. But Mexican Fire Agate, it's such a vicious return to sender crystal. It makes people better people. Now, for the people who think that they could just return negative energy, what do people say? Just turn it to light versus sending it back. For people who think that it's sending it back, it's not. It's the best thing you can do. Let's just say, and here's a good analogy. Someone takes a grenade, right? They throw it at you, and you catch the grenade, and you're like, ooh, this is not good. So you throw it off to the side, and the person has a bag full of grenades. They're in spiritual war mode with you, and you're just. Maybe you're trying to get a job or something like that, and they don't like you. Maybe you have something they don't, so they're throwing another grenade at you. You catch it, you throw it off to the side because I don't want to throw it back. I'm trying to transmute the energy of light. I gotta throw it back. They throw another one at you. You pick it up. They throw one by your feet. You didn't know they threw it by your feet because they threw two this time, as the camera pans. And now you're in trouble. Both of them blow up because. You thought you could just transmute it to light, and you have a big problem on your hands. Now you got to do cleansings, and it actually got into your home, and now your whole family's basically like ruined because all the black magic got into your home because you thought you could throw it back. People who think that you just transmute it in light, those people will try to use their energy to transmute some kind of darkness that's not even theirs into light, and they're fully exhausted on top of being fully hit by any curse. Now, that's why we return things back to the sender. That's why I'm a big advocate of returning negative energy back to the sender. Because it's not your energy in the first place. Why are you claiming it and why are you dealing with it? It's not your energy. Don't deal with it. It's literally you sending it back says, hey, no thank you. I don't have time for this. No thank you. I don't have time for negative energy. I'm only focusing on positive energy. You send it back. You take the grenade. You throw it back to them and be like, no thank you. You can keep it. I don't want it. And it hits their other grenades and it blows them up and basically they're gone. That's Mexican Fire Agate for you. That's Mexican Fire Agate as on top of the oil vat thing example that I gave. But I have stories with Mexican Fire Agate. I've had neighbors who really tried to mess with me, and I can say this now because I said it in past videos. They might watch this video, but those people are transformed now. So basically, neighbors try to mess with me, and this is the first thing I'll teach you guys how to do. Mexican Fire Agate, you can get it anywhere online. Just make sure it has to be somewhat shiny. It's not heated up carnelian. That's not true Mexican Fire Agate. Heated up carnelian can act as Mexican Fire Agate, but we're talking about Mexican Fire Agate from Mexico, not from India, not from China. Okay, but there's some kind of energy behind Mexican Fire Agate, so it's very instantaneous. It's very instantaneous. It breathes fire. Remember, anything that goes through fire is transformed. If you put your hand in fire and you take your hand out after 2 minutes, you have a new hand. But it's not going to be a healed hand. It's going to be a burnt hand. So how long you stick your hand in the fire is how long you learn. If it takes a second for you to learn, the person's going to learn and not do it again. And they're going to... Because like I said, it keeps coming back and hitting them, so they're going to be like, okay, something's wrong with cursing people, something's wrong with sending evil eye, and this is not just cursing people either. This is sending evil eye, sending negative energy. My neighbors were just sending me negative energy, like a few years ago. They were very adamant at sending negative energy because we asked them to turn their music down, right? Because it's about 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and they're blasting music just to be envious. So we asked them to turn the music down. They took it personally. And they started turning it up, started like harassing us, started just using dogs to taunt us at events and stuff like that. Just things like that. They just got really, really, really vicious and nasty. And I'm like, okay, I kept praying about it. I'm like, I can't just pray. God doesn't just put here just, he does not put us here just to pray. We have to arm ourselves and defend ourselves in the battle. The first thing you can do with Mexican Fire Agate, you can take a small, tiny piece, because real Mexican Fire Agate, I have wearable Mexican Fire Agate. It's super rare, and it's almost completely gone. If you've got Mexican Fire Agate from me as jewelry before, then lucky you. It's really, really high end. It's more rare and harder to get now, but take a little piece of Mexican Fire Agate, a little tiny stone of it, put it in a gallon of water. Maybe you can boil it and heat it up in a pan first, let it cool down, and then put it in the water. Now you have Mexican Fire Agate water. What I did with that water is I threw it against the fence, the entire fence, to where they were taunting us between the fence, so their energy is going through the fence at us. And yeah, I could put up black tourmaline and different things to block the energy, but they're going to keep doing it, and they kept doing it until I did the Mexican Fire Agate, and a few days later they had to move. That's just an example. I'm not going to go through every Mexican Fire Agate story. There's some people who have been, I'm actually not going to go into details, I don't think it's appropriate, but I've had enemies fully removed overnight just by using Mexican Fire Agate. Because it doesn't do anything unless someone sends you negative energy. It takes their negative energy and there's no bypassing it. It takes whatever amount of negative energy is sent towards you and it sends it back times 100, and it can't stop. The energy does not stop. There's something so specific about Mexican Fire Agate's energy. It's scary. Thank God he put such a beautiful crystal on this planet for us to use, because you don't have to deal with negative energy like that. I just taught you a gallon of water way that you can do that. You can do it with some oil too. You can do it with water or oil. If you feel like you want it to stay longer, use oil instead of for water. You can use vegetable oil, and you can let it sit in for 24 hours, and you can heat it up in a pan, and then you throw it on the fence. It's not going to be a super concentrate, but it has enough of the essence of the Mexican Fire Agate to do its function. If you have Dragon Eye Mexican Fire Agate, which is the rarest thing, no, I don't believe anyone's going to have it. That's Mexican Fire Agate on times 100. You're not going to have any enemies. Just flat out, if you ever get Dragon Eye Mexican Fire Agate, it's super, super rare. There's variations of it, but this crystal is really, really fierce against negative energy. You guys deserve to be living in peace. You guys deserve to be living in light. You guys deserve to not have people cursing and hexing you without them learning their lesson. Mexican Fire Agate only works for people. Because I'm going to say this again, I'm giving away a very powerful secret here, and it's just with Mexican Fire Agate. If you're someone, let me clarify this again because people don't get this. If you're someone who's doing bad and you have Mexican Fire Agate around, it's going to attack you. Its energy spiritually is going to hunt you and send back your own energy, because that's in its evolution process as a crystal to help you evolve as a person and to grow. If you're doing any kind of curses, if you're sending evil eye, if you're sending negative energy, you better fully expect it to come back to you times 100 until you recognize it, until you pray about it, until it goes away, because once it goes away, it goes away. So I've had, and this is a crystal because I do have people who are rappers and musicians and artists get crystals from me, and those kind of people, I'll start them off with pyrite, because pyrite's very good for someone who's in the music industry and maybe someone who acts or just in general. But the music industry and people who are actors, people who do plays, people who are rappers, music singers, songwriters, etc., they'll come to me for help, and the first thing I will give them for protection, they'll get a black tourmaline necklace from me, but then I'll have them have Mexican Fire Agate, and I'll teach them how to use it. Some of the stories, I wish I could just I wish I could say all my stories. I'm not going to say all the stories. Some of the stories are not surprising because I've been dealing with Mexican Fire Agate for a while. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to share too many of their stories, but one of the person's stories is that after someone even beefed with them even a little bit, they've never had someone apologize to them so heavily in their entire life. They were actually so surprised that person apologized so heavily to the point where they're basically almost on their knees, just like, I'm so sorry about what I did. And I was just wondering, I'm like, what did that person go through within a period of time? Because here's what happens. When people use Mexican Fire Agate, the effects are so bad against the people who have sent the negative energy, the evil eye, any kind of shade, to the point where they think someone cursed them. Yeah, someone did curse them. You cursed yourself because you put out negative energy. We can't do anything that doesn't have a consequence. God sees everything, and when you arm yourself with Mexican Fire Agate, you are ready for battle. One thing you can do as well is I'm going to teach another secret, okay? Now, not everyone can do this. You can take Mexican Fire Agate. You can make it into some you can let it sit in olive oil. And this is a part of a way on how to make a crystal oil. It's not the full way. I'm not going to ever teach the full way on how to do it because that's a secret recipe. But you can do this. You could take some olive oil, put Mexican Fire Agate in it, leave it in the sun for a few days, and then you can put that oil in your lotion. So when you put it on, when you go throughout the day, you're going to notice a giant change. You don't have many enemies after that. The only trick to this is because I've taught so much about Mexican Fire Agate in this video, you have to stay aligned. You have to be if you're your own worst enemy and you're sending other people negative energy, but you're using Mexican Fire Agate, even if you think that I'm not sending negative energy, and you're gossiping at work, your karma is going to be so bad that you should just not use the Mexican Fire Agate. This is why I don't teach everyone about Mexican Fire Agate, but I gave several warnings in this video. Other stories with Mexican Fire Agate, I've seen people road rage with me, and then I drive up the road and those people are broken down. That's just an example. You can spray Mexican Fire Agate water around your car. You can put two and two together. And people are like, oh, this is a different side of Florida Stone, man. He's being so... Listen, you guys... Half the reason none of you are getting... I'm not going to say none of you. A lot of you who are dealing with negative energy don't get ahead is because you're dealing with negative energy. Why do you have to deal with someone's curses, black magic, evil eye? You should not have to be dealing with that at all. You should, flat out, you should just be working on yourself and put up shields, such as Mexican Fire Agate. Now, you can add a little spin to this. You can mix agrimony with Mexican Fire Agate, and then you can do the math. You can, if you're in the workplace and you do my Mexican Fire Agate techniques with little crystal elixir mixes and stuff like that, you're gonna have coworkers flat out. You're gonna be the only one working there who, if someone's sending you negative energy in the workplace, they're gonna go. It doesn't matter how, they're going to go. Their own karma is gonna hit them to the point where they're not gonna show up to bother you. If someone's after you, they're not gonna be after you. Do I sell Mexican Fire Agate? Eventually, I'll put an oil or an elixir or some kind of thing on the website. I don't know how to really distribute it yet. Maybe I'll just put a vial of water that you can mix with a giant vat of water, something like that, and then I can just put my secret techniques in there. Mexican Fire Agate's vicious. It's one reason I don't really care, because people try to curse me all the time. People on my TikTok live say, haha, I'm gonna curse you, and I'm like, haha, I'm gonna do something with you. I'm like, go ahead, feel free. If my channel is about lessons, and if that is how you have to learn your lesson, I welcome it. Yeah. And then people are like, oh, I didn't mean it. I'm like, go ahead and do it. You've already said it. Do it. And that's just your own energy defeating you. That's how cool Mexican Fire Agate is. I could talk about this crystal for a few hours. I wish I could tell you guys more of the stories, but some of the stories are a little bit gruesome. So I'm not going to talk about them on here. I don't ever take pride in oh, haha, look what happened to this person. No. It's this person learned their lesson, and now they're a better person, and they're not hurting anyone anymore. They're not cursing anyone anymore. They're not doing anything else on anyone anymore. And remember how I said the karma from the Mexican Fire Agate does not go away? It never goes away until they fully stop. If I had one crystal to basically make me drop my jaw, it's Mexican Fire Agate. The crystal is... it has to be the most powerful crystal ever, in its sense. It always fascinates me. Anytime I use the crystal, I'm just like... But you have to keep in mind, some of these people are out here sending negative energy that makes you just kind of drop your jaw too, but when it's returned and you see what happened, you're like, oh my god. It's the trump card. It's literally it's the red button. You have someone mess with you, hit the red button. It's not a spiritual cannon, it's a spiritual atom bomb. but it helps you get ahead. And like I said, for the people, if you're gonna use Mexican Fire Agate, but you're not doing right, actually, never mind. I encourage you to use it because it's gonna make you learn your lesson, and you should be a good person anyway. Now, if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. I taught you a few ways on how you can use Mexican Fire Agate. Keep in mind that there's not a lot of real Mexican Fire Agate out there. A lot of it's fake. I might put some on the website eventually. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. This has to be one of the most awesome crystals ever. Literally awesome. Like, I'm just in awe every time I see what it does. It's just, it makes me really think. I'm like, God put something on this earth that powerful that anyone could use. But you have to be good, you have to be of light, and you have to be doing things right. If you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Ciao!